I hope my screen is visible to all of you.
Yeah, it's visible, Tanveer.
Okay, so for today's class, we have planned creating and managing partition and LVM. So first of all, we will start with creating and managing partition. So what exactly is creating and managing partition? Here we are going to learn how to create a partition, how to add hard disk in Linux and create the partitions. For that, we will open our Oracle VM box. Here, we don't need to turn it on. First, we have to attach the hard disk. To attach the hard disk, the device should be powered off. Here, we have to go in the setting. In this setting, here we have the storage option. Click on controller SATA, this just above the hard disk one. Here is the option add hard disk. Okay. Click on create disk image file, and here you have to select VHD virtual hard disk. Then next, again next. What size of hard disk you want to create? So I want to create of 10 GB. Choose. So we can see here one is attached. Let us create one more. Why one more? Because for LVM we need two. It can be of different size, but here I am taking same. Finish. Choose. So here you can see server one and dot VTI, server one underscore one dot VHD, and VHD. This is the virtual hard disk. Okay. Now click OK and click on Start. So in the step also we have mentioned in the same way. Shut down your Linux machine, add virtual hard disk, start the Linux, and then so on. So we need to wait until it boots. Now we are able to log in inside this. When we go to the activities, then here we have the option terminal. Here we have to type the command minus L to see the disk information, how many hard disks are there, and in that hard disk, how much partition is already created. Okay. So here we can see we have uh, SDA, SDB, SDC like that. Multiple partitions are available there. Okay. Now, now the next, if you see here, it is SDA, which is of 20 GB, and then you can see SDB, second hard disk of 10 GB, and the third hard disk SDC of 10 GB. In the first hard disk, you can see there is a partition 1 and 2. In second, we don't have any partition. In third also, we don't have any partition. Okay. Is this clear till here that how we can add hard disk and how we can check how many hard disks are there and how many partitions are created? Am I audible?
Tanvi, I
Yes,
have
sir.
one doubt.
Yeah,
Yeah, here you used fdisk space hyphen L to check a list of hard disk.
correct.
If we can use lsblk to check list of block storage, lsblk command.
You want to use this, right?
Yeah.
We can use this also.
Yeah, okay. Both
Now,
command are same, right?
no. Command intention is
Okay,
same, but
okay,
the output will be different.
okay.
Okay. Now, to create a partition, because when we connect any hard disk, we need to create the partition. Without that, we cannot store the data. Dev slash SDB. SDB is the name of hard disk, second hard disk. Now here, if you print the partition table, you see there is no partition. So you can use N to create new partition. It will ask you which partition you want to create, primary or extended. So generally primary partition contains OS files and user file both, or in general we can say it is like a system partition. So in primary partitions we can install operating system and we can store data also. Next is extended partition. In extended partition we cannot do anything. We cannot store anything because extended partition is like a container. Inside that you have to create logical volumes, and then in the logical volumes you can store user data only. So here we are going to create primary partition. So you see by default it has selected P also. Now the partition number, definitely the partition number will be 1 for the first partition. Now the first sector. So first sector starts from 2048. We'll simply click enter, and the last sector we will give as 5G, means I want to create a partition of 5GB. So whatever size you want to create, just you put plus and that much size, G for GB, M for MB, like that. So here you can see plus size KB, MB, GB, TB, and petabyte. Because we don't know the calculation in the sector format, that how much sector is how much GB. So the better option is a starting sector, just hit as the default value what it takes, and for last sector simply plus and that much size. Now you can see the message created a new partition 1 of type Linux of and of size 5GB. Now when you put P here, now you can see the partition table. One partition name slash SDB1 is created of 5GB and type is Linux. Once you have created partition, then W for what? W to save and exit from fdisk. Okay. Now, whatever changes you have done, you need to update it to kernel. So kernel gets updated when the device is rebooted, or you can use part probe slash dev slash SDB, name of the hard disk, not partition. That some changes are done. If you don't do this and try to format the partition, you will get error. Okay. Now, to format this partition, we have command mkfs make file system minus t type xfs is the latest file system of this Linux slash dev slash sdb1. Okay. So here we have to define the metadata along with this while formatting. So instead of this file system, we can use the previous file system ext4. Okay. So it says that it contains XFS file system. Do you want to proceed anyway? Yes. Now it's done. So we can use ext4, ext3 also. So like FAT32 and TFS are the file system using which we can format. So when we plug any hard disk, first task is to create partition, and once the partition is created, we need to format it. After formatting in Windows, we get the drive letter. In Linux, we don't have any drive letter. So the solution is we have to mount it, we have to map it. We'll use command mount slash dev slash sdb1 on the folder mnt. Instead of mnt, you can create any other folder, and on that also you can mount. Now, if you see the size disk free of mnt, you can see the size is 4.9 GB. Okay. Now, if you go inside mnt, you will see only lost and found folder is there. Now let us create one file. See, now if I'm going to unmount it, this partition from the mount from the MNT, and then if I go inside the MNT folder and put ls, you see there is nothing. Means whatever data after mounting we put on MNT, that goes in that partition. Also, if you check the size now of this MNT, it shows 11 GB and mounted on root partition. Means it shows the size of overall root partition, how much space is free. Okay. So it proves that partitions can be accessed via any folder, and once it is mounted, whatever information we see of that folder or inside that folder, that directly relates with the partition.
Tanvi, sorry to interrupt. Here, df space hyphen h, na.
Mhm.
Hyphen h is a temporary mount or a permanent mount,
Hyphen
which
H is
means.
human readable. It's not mounting command. This is the mounting command. This is the temporary
Oh,
mount.
okay, okay.
DF is for disk free. Okay.
Disk free. Okay, okay, okay.
It will show you how much space is available on that mount point.
Okay, okay, okay,
Now,
Tanvi, okay.
now after mounting, if I'm going to see, you see, it is showing the mount of SDB1. Here it was showing of root partition. And after mounting, if we go and check, you see, the file is there. Okay. So this is what temporary mounting. So generally temporary mounting is used with shared folders. It is used for pen drive. It is used for CD drive. But when we create partition, okay, so we use permanent mounting. Okay, we can use temporary mounting. That's not a problem. When we can use the temporary mounting, when we want to hide some data. Okay, so do the temporary mounting, put the data, and you know the partition number and names and all. And as a root, you will have the access. so other user will not be able to see this all. Now, how to do the permanent mounting? To do permanent mounting, first we have to create a folder. So I'm creating folder data or any name we can create. Then we have a file inside the etc folder, that is fs tab. Okay. So when I was explaining about Linux boot process, on that time also I've explained about this fs tab. It contains permanent mount point information. So we have to go inside it. In the last line, we have to write /dev sdb1, means partition name, 2 times tab, need to be mounted on where the mount point, and then the file system. It will be the default mount point and 0 space 0. So like this, we have to do the entry. This format I have already mentioned here in this notepad. If you see in the last, to mount permanently, go in the last line, add like this, and save and exit. Now to activate this mount, we have to use command mount space -a. So if there is any error in this fs tab entry, we will get the error. Now when we go inside the folder data, we can see the same file. Okay, because this folder is showing files of sdb1 partition. Okay. Now, so this was how to create partition on hard disk, format it, mount temporary and permanently. If you want to check any mount, we have command mount piping grep, give the device or partition name. So here you can see it is mounted on MNT also and data also. So MNT we have done with the temporary. So if the device restarts, it will go, but data will not go because we have defined in fs tab file. And in the Linux boot process, we have seen kernel is going to mount all the uh, mount points based on fs tab. So now to unmount this all, first step we have to remove the entry from here, call wq, activate the mount point, and then use the command umount /dev/sdb1. Okay. If you check now, you will find still it is mounted because 2 time mounting is done. So 2 time removal is also required. If you have done 1 time, then 1 time removal is enough. Now you check, it's not mounted anywhere. Now suppose I want to delete the partition, then fdisk/dev/sdb. Here P to print the partition table and D to delete. If you have multiple partitions, then it will ask partition number to delete. Now here it will not ask because only one partition is there. After this, you see no partition is there. W to save and exit, and part probe to update the kernel. So you can see we have already done this. File system mounted on folder, verified the size. Again, how to delete this. So any question in creating and managing partition in Linux? Earlier, we used to learn about the swap partition creation also. But nowadays, we don't need to create swap partition because our RAM are sufficient. So this swap partition is generally idle. Now moving to the next, that is LVM. logical volume manager. So as of now, the volume which we have created, suppose if that partition I have mounted on data, so if that partition is full, then what is the solution? I cannot extend the size. I have to create one more partition and there will be one more folder on which it will be mounted. So some data will be accessed from data folder, some will be accessed from the new folder what we have created. Okay, because that is mounted with the new partition. So to fix that type of issue, as a solution we have logical volume manager, LVM. So in the LVM what happens, we don't create partition, we create volumes. And how we create? We first create a group of hard disk. Okay, so for this minimum two hard disk is required. With one hard disk also we can create, but two is better. So LVM, we create a group of group of hard disk, combine it together, and we create volume group. And from the total size, like 10 GB, 10 GB, 20 GB, we create the volume. Okay. Advantage of using LVM, we can extend and reduce the size of existing volume without any change in the mount point. So the folder will be same. Okay, we don't need to change any mount point. The size of partition will extend. We don't need to reformat it. We don't need to create a new partition, nothing. Okay. And without data loss also. So here as a term, physical volume means hard disk, volume group means group of hard disk, logical volume means partition to store the data. Okay. In the interview, if you have to give a definition or anywhere, what exactly is the LVM? You can say it is a utility using which we can create a volume with group of hard disk which can be reduced or extended in size. Okay. But again repeating, it can be created with single hard disk also. So here to perform this practical, add minimum two hard disk. So we can learn if we have multiple hard disk, what are the changes we have. Log in with root user, use fdisk -l to see the disk information. So till this we have already done. Now we are going to move for another steps. First is we have to create a logical volume, physical volume. So pv create /dev /sdb. So it will say there are some signatures because earlier we have created partition and formatted. That's why. So wipe it. Yes. Now, so physical volume created successfully. Again, we have to convert second hard disk as a physical volume. Okay. Now, we have to create a group of volume. So before that, we can see this with the command pv display. So with the pv display, we can see here. See, this is the 19 GB created by our system while installation. Okay. And this one is our physical volume of 10 GB SDB, and then we have SDC also here of 10 GB. Now to create the volume group, we have command vg create and name for this. So I'm giving my vg, my volume group, and then the group of hard disk SDB, so not B, SD, B and C common. So my volume group created successfully. If you check it with the command vg display, here you can see my volume group name is myvg and the size is 19.99 GB. So the first step is create physical volume, then combine both, or if you have more than two, and then from that volume group we have to create logical volume to store the data. So command is lv create minus L. What size of volume you want to create? I want to create 4 GB volume minus in the name. So this name is for my partition is, I suppose, want to keep it for movies, and then volume group name my VG. Say signature detected, wipe it, yes. So logical volume movies created. To see it, LV display, and we have created of 4 GB. So just let us scroll up. You see Dave my VG movies, okay, of size 4 GB created. Now, once we have created the volume, again same mkfs minus text4 slash dev slash my volume group slash movies. So name we have to give like this. First the device, then my volume group name, and then this logical volume name. So here also you can see the name. LV path is dev my VG movies. So accordingly we have to give, hit enter to format it. So formatting done. Now the thing is we need to mount it slash dev my VG slash movies on MNT. Mount it. df space minus h slash MNT. You can see now the size is 3.9 GB. So this size of the folder will show based on that where it is mounted or where it is mapped. Now, when the mounting is done, the next thing we have to do is we have to store the data. So this is a temporary mounting. If you want to do the permanent mounting, you have to do the similar type of things earlier how you have done. You have to go in the last and you have to do entries slash dev slash my volume group slash movies on whatever folder you have created, file system defaults 0 space 0, like this you have to do. Okay, the entry. So as of now I am not going to do the permanent mounting, only the temporary mounting, and similarly mount space minus a to activate. Now I am going to store the data mnt flag. So now this is the file flag. Why I have created file? Because just to show you that if we extend or shrink the size of volume, mount point does not changes. Also, the data does not get affected. So here, uh, to extend the size, we have command lv extend minus so lv extend, and then we have command lv reduce to reduce it. So here you can see the command. Okay, so lv extend minus L. How much you want to add? I want to add 3 GB plus 3 GB, and then just give the path dev my volume group slash You see. So it is showing that earlier the size was 4 GB, now it is of 7 GB. LV display. The size of these movies is 7 GB. Now let us verify whether data got affected. LS, no, that flagged, we are able to access. No change in mount point also. By ring grip, movies. You see. Now I want to reduce the size. For that, we have command, same command. Instead of extend, we will use reduce. And instead of plus, we have to write minus. Now I am going to reduce 4 GB or 5 GB. It will give you the warning that the data may destroy, no problem. I'll take the risk. So now the size of volume is 2. LV display. You can see the size is now 2 GB of the movie's volume. Now let us see whether the data got affected. No, we are able to access it also. Is it clear? So this
Yeah,
was
Tanveer.
LVM. Yeah. So in this LVM, it's not either in partitioning or LVM, we can create only one. It depends. You can create multiple logical volumes or you can create multiple partitions based on your requirement. The steps and process will be same. Now, how to remove this all? Okay. So the way how we have created, we have to remove. First, unmount it. After this, the next is LV remove. Remove the logical volume. Yes. After this, remove the volume group. And once the volume group is deleted, then remove the physical volume. We will remove. Now, if you use PV display, both are removed. VG display, see, that volume group is also removed. And LV display, you can see our movies volume is also deleted. Okay. Now the next is we have to remove the hard disk. For that, power off. It's all up to us whether we want to remove, we remove, else not required. So this all was the option. You can see how to delete. Go to the settings, storage, Here you have to select, and here is the option to remove the attachment. Okay. So only the attachment is removed. Click on OK. Now uh, we have completed almost part of this. Only networking, security, and services are remaining. So if you see in the syllabus, I hope all of you are doing practice parallel to the class. If you are facing any issue, let me know. Don't be silent, because one day you will see like this, days will move on and your course will finish. So better you practice parallelly, and if you have any queries, you can reach out to me. So till day 13 we have already done, and 15, 16 just now we have done. It remains this 14, 17, and the networking concept. So from the next class, I'm going to start the topic IP addressing, and in that IP addressing, first we will learn what exactly is the IP address, what are the numbers, class, and all. Then we will see how to configure IP in this device. Okay. So that IP address is very important to understand, not only here when you are going to work in AWS DevOps, to understand the network, because entire network is dependent on IP address. Okay. So if you understand IP address very well, then things you will understand easily. So any question or anything you want to discuss?
Tanvi, up to this topic, could you please share any interview questions?
I'll share the complete interview questions now.
Okay. Okay.
Creating managing LVM and partitions. I think I've shared for someone. I think this one here. Maybe it will be in the mobile. I'll check and I'll share you now. So I'm going to share both the things, not only interview questions. Along with the interview questions, this resume sample also, that what are the keywords you can add from this Linux, and the keywords which I have mentioned, you have to focus on the same topic, because it is not possible for us to memorize all these commands and all these concepts. Okay. But out of this all, at least we have to focus on the important topics. So interview questions forward 7 and 7 p.m. Okay. Next is the resume sample. Check where I have forwarded. Yes, resume sample will be here. Okay. So if you see here in this, first I'll show you the sample resume, then that also will discuss interview questions. So here you can see You can set your name, email, and the intention academic profile as a fresher. This is for sample for fresher, and these are the skills you can add for the AWS, for the CCNA. Similarly, for the Linux, user and group administration, creating managing file system partition LVM, disk space, processor utilization, network utilization, how to check, monitoring this uses and ping packet drop, scheduling task, managing process, packet management through RPM and YUM, file folder using command line, archiving and transferring, controlling services, defining permissions, and configure managing firewall, SSH, NFS, Samba. These all are the services which we are going to see. So that you can mention, and these are the important point topics on which we perform the task, day-to-day task in companies, and these are the project. I've just given a sample for this AWS. Similarly, whatever project you want, you can define for Linux also. So in the Linux, generally it will be creating a web server using Apache. Then the training and certification, then personal skills and the details. Okay. So this is the resume sample. Now for the interview questions, you have this one. Here you see. So some behavioral questions. Okay. And then the technical will start from here. What is the command to change the password? So generally command they don't ask, but they may ask. So these all are the interview questions, and these all questions are collected from the students. Okay. So like this one, what is bash, what is kernel, two Linux modes, what is Lilo, what do you mean by a process in Linux, process state. So process state can be running, idle, Linux cell, what are the types of cell we have. Okay. So these all things will be there. So you prepare it, and if you are not able to find answer, some of the topic is yet to complete. So the topic which you have completed related to that, you can create your answers. Some answers are already available for some questions. I have not given for all because some you should also search by your own. Okay. So the student who has appeared interview as of now, and they came to me for the feedback. They said they asked questions only from the topic which I have taught, and these are questions which I have shared. So prepare it properly. Okay. So any questions?
Nothing.
So next class we will cover IP addressing. For IP addressing, I hope you have the idea uh, about the binary conversion, binary to decimal, decimal to binary. If not, then you practice it. Okay, fine.